All right, welcome back to the Sci Fi Case project. This is 11th in the tutorial series. So this one will be a little bit shorter. Basically, I'm just going to mirror some geometry across. And I'm going to explain a little bit of problems I had with the frame structure here. First off, though, I want to mention that between tutorials, I added these extra edge loops along here. I'll kind of point them out, these edge loops. So I did that on each of these sections. You can see here. And then, of course, on the third one, I'll just continue down. And then this one and this one, which tightened up the whole area. But it still gave me a sort of square area and then a rounded area on that end. And that's what I kind of like, is that there's a little bit of variation. So I'm going to turn off this wireframe unshaded for a sec, and you can kind of see it. Looks pretty good overall. So let's talk real quick about this framing structure. What I realized was, when I was making this frame, I was using the quad draw to add the divisions, and it was doing a bunch of weird things. It was doing some weird pinching. So I'm going to isolate this by clicking the little arrow here, and I'm going to frame in on it and zoom in here. And I'm going to hit number 1, and you can see right here where it's happening, this weird little pinching that's happening. And so if I double click on this edge loop here, which was created using the quad draw, I can delete it by hitting this little icon here in my custom shelf. I believe it's under mesh. There's edit mesh. Let's see here. Mesh tools. Mesh display. Let's see. It's got to be in here somewhere. Here it is. Delete vertex edge. You have to use the Control Delete is the hotkey. Again, if you hit the delete key, what will happen is it'll your verts will remain there. So by hitting Control Delete, it helps that out. So I had to do it here and then double click and then do it here. And now all of a sudden it's sort of fixed for the most part. Even the top here, I think did the same thing. I'll just go ahead and delete that for a sec. And so to correct it, I used essentially the Insert Edge Loop tool. The Insert Edge Loop tool, the way it works, as you click and drag, it sort of follows the flow of the geometry. And I guess the quad draw division doesn't do that as well, and so it was doing a lot of crazy pinching, even though I'm basically doing the same thing on here. I just did it before the extrusion, and then all of a sudden all wackiness happened. So I had to go through and do a lot of cleanup, basically just like deleting all the edge loops I created and then brought them all back pretty much. The only area where I kind of moved the geometry was right here. There's like a little triangle, just because it adds a little extra edge there. But if I click out now, right click, go to object mode, hit number 3, I kind of like this overall. It's got, a few areas where there's a few bumps and stuff, but this is like a sort of a frame structure. I don't mind having a little bit of rigidness to it. And you can see where some of the shapes do twist a little bit. And so I might spend some time in between tutorials and clean up that. Like, this definitely has a lot of twist to it. I could just rotate a little bit and get a little bit more out of it. But yeah, essentially, I think with these pieces, this one, and this one, pretty much ready to mirror across. If for some reason I do want to change things, all I have to do is delete the mesh and then mirror it again later on. But I'm pretty sure this is where I'm going to leave it. I might add a slot in this one, but for right now, I think I'll go ahead and mirror it. So this one here we'll start with. Again, in mirror things, all you got to do is go to the mesh option here. And right here, just click on the word mirror. It's pretty cool. It opens up this little widget here. So you can go by object or world and then choose the axes. So if I choose X in the object, it basically snaps across from its axis, which was right here. And so just like that, voila. Now then I just have to check and make sure there's no funky merging that can happen in the middle here, but it looks fine. So now I can do the same thing here. Just select this object and go mesh and then mirror. Again, I want to do this in the object and the x-axis. And just like that, it's mirrored across. Now, if it needed to go in the negative direction or positive, I could click on here and switch to the positive. So this is totally interactive, very, very cool sort of mirroring ability here. So now I can go mesh and mirror. And again, I'll choose objects and then go into the X, and just like that, now I've got the whole thing on that one side. Now what's really cool is this is one whole mesh now, so I could rename this and then mirror it across the world axis to get it over here, which would be very cool too. So I might do that real quick on this guy. First thing I'm going to do is delete the history. There's lots of history here, and I have a little hotkey there to clean it up, but it's under, I believe, Edit, Delete by Type, and History. If your computer is running really slow, a lot of times that's what's happening. And so you can see all the history here. It's a good idea to clean all that up. So I can do that. And then with these guys, this is one mesh also. And again, I'm just going to delete the history there. So now to move this over on the other side, I'm going to go ahead and choose that mirror option again. Mesh mirror, and this time it's set to the world. And you can see here the world with Z offset works pretty well, because there's this object here. If we're going to mirror this one across mesh mirror, you can see that it would pop up over there. We still need to work on this, but you know, you can kind of see the results here. So mesh mirror, and then the bottom pieces here. Let's do that real quick. Mesh mirror, and then later on I would name these. I haven't done that yet, but yeah, this is starting to give me a better idea of like what's going on here in terms of the geometry. Now, what I could have done on this one is let me isolate this for a sec and go to face mode, and I'll just delete that side completely. Go back to object and then turn that one back on. So on this one, I think what I'll do is go mesh, and just to see what the whole thing will look like, mirror, instead of the world, choose objects and then choose X, just so we can see what that would look like. And I'll probably undo this action, but just so that we can, you know, check it out again, I'll select it and then go to mesh and mirror, and voila. So now we got kind of an idea of what this whole case will look like. I was kind of curious, you know, what it would look like from a distance as, you know, the silhouette. I'm starting to dig it. Looking at the proportions and everything, I do kind of like it. The only thing I didn't mirror across was the cage here. So I could select that and go mesh and mirror, and now it's on the other side also, and then I have to do it on the back side too. But let's check this out on wireframe unshaded just to take a look, and yeah, I'm starting to dig this. I think it's coming along pretty well. So again, next tutorial we'll really start to tackle this section here. Again, we'll tackle one side at a time. You can see it's basically mirrored on both sides, so yeah, we'll have fun working on that definitely in the next tutorial. Until then, see you soon. Cheers.